The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Humanity's first deep space probe had just passed beyond the Kuiper Belt when it detected the massive fleet. At first, the scientists at Mission Control thought it was a malfunction. The readings were impossible. Thousands of ships, each larger than anything humanity had ever built, moving in perfect formation. Within hours, the ships appeared in Earth's orbit. Their arrival brought the world to a standstill. Traffic stopped. Markets closed. Everyone, from the streets of New York to the villages of Africa, looked up at the sky. The vessels hung there like dark clouds, blocking out the sun in some areas. Admiral James Reed stood in the United Nations Emergency Council chamber, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display showing the alien fleet's positions. He had spent 30 years in the Space Force, helping build humanity's first Mars colony. But nothing in his experience had prepared him for this. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," the communications officer announced. The room fell silent as the alien message began to play. The voice spoke perfect English, though it carried an odd mechanical tone. "People of Earth, you have been chosen to join the Galactic Empire. Your technology has reached the minimum threshold for integration. Submit to Imperial rule within one planetary rotation, or face the consequences." General Marcus Steele slammed his fist on the table. "They can't just demand our surrender. We've barely established our first colony on Mars, and now they want us to bow down." Dr. Elizabeth Stone, Earth's leading expert in xenobiology, studied the scans of the alien ships. "Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Those ships could probably destroy our major cities in minutes." The UN Secretary General rose from her seat. "We need to vote. The fate of humanity hangs in the balance." The debate raged for hours. Some argued for immediate surrender, hoping to preserve human life. Others insisted that freedom was worth any price. As the deadline approached, Earth's answer was ready. The Secretary General stepped up to the global broadcast system. Her voice was firm as she delivered humanity's response. "Earth respectfully declines integration into your empire. We are willing to discuss peaceful cooperation as equals." The response came swiftly. 3 massive energy beams descended from the Imperial fleet. Shanghai disappeared in a flash of light. Then London. Then New York. Millions died in seconds. The message that followed was brief. This was a warning. You have one more chance to submit. In the chaos that followed, Admiral Reed activated emergency protocols that had been prepared for just such a disaster. As governments worldwide scrambled to respond, he gathered key military and scientific leaders in a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. "Ladies and gentlemen," he addressed the shaken group, "today we witnessed the Empire's power. They expect us to break, to submit, but they don't understand humanity." He pulled up a holographic display showing a complex network of underground facilities. "This is Protocol Prometheus. For years, we've prepared for a worst-case scenario. Hidden bases, secret weapons development programs, a shadow network of communication systems." Dr. Stone spoke up, her voice trembling but determined. "The Empire thinks they've seen our best technology. They haven't. We've kept our most advanced developments completely off the grid. Quantum computing, artificial intelligence, experimental weapons, all hidden from any possible orbital scans." The room erupted in discussion. Plans were made, resources allocated. A message was drafted, appearing to accept the Empire's demands while secretly setting resistance plans in motion. The surface would submit, but underground, humanity would prepare. The Empire's forces landed the next day. Their troops, tall figures in gleaming armor, began establishing control centers in major cities. They brought with them amazing technology: hover vehicles, matter replicators, instant translation devices. It seemed like magic to most people, but to the hidden resistance, each piece of Imperial tech was a puzzle to be solved, a weakness to be found. 3 months into the occupation, the Empire's grip appeared absolute. They controlled Earth's governments, resources, and communication systems. Their ships patrolled the skies, and their soldiers walked the streets. Humanity appeared broken, obedient, accepting of their new role as just another conquered world in the vast empire. But deep underground, in secret labs and hidden bunkers, the real work was just beginning. Dr. Stone and her team worked tirelessly, reverse engineering captured Imperial technology. They made an astounding discovery. The Empire's advanced tech relied heavily on a standardized system. Everything, from their weapons to their communication devices, used the same basic principles. It's both their greatest strength and their potential weakness, Dr. Stone explained to Admiral Reed. They've perfected these systems over centuries, but they've stopped innovating. They don't expect anything new, anything different. Admiral Reed nodded, a grim smile on his face. And that's exactly what we're going to give them. Something they've never seen before. He turned to the assembled resistance leaders. The Empire thinks they've conquered Earth. They think we're just another primitive species they can add to their collection. But they've made a terrible mistake. He walked to a massive screen showing the status of various secret projects. They should have studied our history better. Humans don't break under pressure. We adapt. We improvise. We overcome. And now, they're going to learn why you should never back humanity into a corner. The resistance settled in for a long fight. They knew the road ahead would be difficult. Many would die. But as they worked in their underground facilities, preparing for the day they would strike back, one thing became clear. The Empire had no idea what they had started. They thought they were dealing with a simple primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a force that would ultimately bring about their destruction. Protocol Prometheus was just the beginning. Humanity's real strength wasn't in its weapons or technology. It was in its spirit. The Empire would learn this lesson too late. They had taken Earth, but in doing so, they had sown the seeds of their own destruction. 3 years passed under Imperial rule. On the surface, Earth appeared to be just another conquered planet. Imperial flags flew over major cities, and their soldiers patrolled the streets in their shining armor. Humans went about their daily lives, heads down, appearing broken and subdued. The Empire's officials were pleased with how quickly Earth had accepted its place in their system. They were wrong. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Major Thomas Walker sat at his command station, surrounded by rows of computers. His team of hackers worked silently, their faces lit by the blue glow of screens showing Imperial code. They had spent years learning the Empire's programming language, finding ways to slip through their security. "Sir, we found something," one of his operators called out. "There's a pattern in their quantum communication network. Every 30 seconds, there's a tiny gap in their security. It's less than a microsecond, but it's there." Walker leaned forward, his eyes scanning the data. He had been a cybersecurity expert before the invasion, but the Empire's technology was far beyond anything he had seen. Still, code was code, and humans had always been good at finding weaknesses. In another part of the vast underground complex, Dr. Stone's team made their own breakthrough. They had captured several pieces of Imperial technology and spent years taking them apart, learning their secrets. What they found was surprising. "Look at this," Dr. Stone said to Admiral Reed, pointing to a holographic display. "Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's all built on the same foundation. They haven't truly innovated in centuries. They just keep building on the same basic systems." Reed studied the display. "Can we use that against them?" "Better than that," Dr. Stone smiled. "We can combine their tech with our own ideas, create something they've never seen before, something they won't know how to fight." The resistance had grown stronger in secret. Hidden factories produced weapons that combined Earth's raw innovation with stolen Imperial technology. Training camps prepared soldiers to fight the Empire's troops. But their most powerful weapon was information. Walker's team had planted countless small spy programs throughout the Empire's network. Bit by bit, they learned the truth about their conquerors. The Empire wasn't just controlling Earth. They were slowly draining it of resources. They had done the same to countless other worlds, moving from planet to planet like locusts. They're parasites. General Steele growled during a resistance meeting. They find worlds with potential, conquer them, use them up, and move on. They'd been doing this for thousands of years. The news sparked anger throughout the resistance, but they knew anger alone wouldn't be enough. They needed a plan. They needed allies. Most importantly, they needed the Empire to keep underestimating them. On the surface, humans continued to play their part. They worked in imperial factories, following orders, appearing grateful for the advanced civilization the Empire had brought. Underground, those same factory workers smuggled out pieces of technology, bringing them to resistance labs for study. Walker's cyber team made another crucial discovery. The Empire's entire military network ran on a single standardized system. It made their operations incredibly efficient, but it also meant they all shared the same weaknesses. It's like they built the biggest, most advanced computer network in the galaxy, Walker explained to the resistance leaders. But they never expected anyone to hack it. They think their technology is too advanced for primitive species to understand. The resistance's plans grew bolder. Small acts of sabotage began across the globe. Imperial vehicles would mysteriously malfunction. Communication systems would go down for short periods. Nothing too big, nothing that would raise serious alarms. Just enough to test their methods, to prove their theories worked. The Empire's response was predictable. They blamed the problems on Earth's primitive conditions and simply replaced the malfunctioning equipment. They never suspected the humans were learning from each piece of technology they destroyed, finding new weaknesses, developing new weapons. Dr. Stone's hybrid technology program made significant progress. They created weapons that could bypass Imperial shields, communication devices that could tap into Imperial frequencies without being detected, and armor that could stand up to Imperial weapons. The beauty of it, she explained to Admiral Reed, is that they won't see it coming. Their sensors are designed to detect their own technology. Our hybrid devices register as simple Earth machinery to their scans. The Resistance also began identifying potential allies. Through careful monitoring of Imperial communications, they learned of other conquered worlds, other species who had been fighting the Empire in their own ways. Walker's team found ways to make contact, sharing information, building a network of resistance across the stars. 3 years of occupation had taught humanity patience. They learned to wait, to watch, to prepare. The Empire thought they had tamed Earth, but they had only pushed humanity to evolve, to adapt, to become something stronger. In his command center, Admiral Reed looked at the latest reports from around the globe. Everything was in place. The Empire's grip on Earth looked absolute, but it was about to learn a hard lesson. They had conquered many worlds, but they had never faced anything like humanity. Send the signal, Reed ordered. Tell all cells to prepare. Phase 2 begins tomorrow. As the message went out through secure channels, millions of resistance members across the planet received their orders. In homes and factories, offices and farms, people who appeared to be loyal Imperial subjects prepared for war. The Empire had no idea that their perfect conquest was about to face its greatest challenge. The sun set on another seemingly peaceful day of Imperial rule. In their bases and ships, the Empire's forces followed their normal routines, confident in their absolute control. They never noticed the small changes in their computer systems, the tiny alterations in their security protocols, the countless small weaknesses that had been created in their perfect system. Tomorrow, they would learn why you should never underestimate humanity. The real war for Earth was about to begin. Operation Wildfire began at dawn. Across the globe, apparently ordinary humans went about their daily routines. They walked into Imperial facilities, sat at their workstations, and waited for the signal. In orbit, Imperial ships maintained their regular patrol patterns, their crews confident in their absolute control of Earth. The first sign that something was wrong came from a small Imperial supply base in what used to be Kansas. A seemingly minor power fluctuation quickly spread through their systems. By the time the Imperial technicians realized it wasn't a simple malfunction, the base's entire defense grid had shut down. Major Walker watched from his underground command center as reports began flowing in. His teams had spent years planting dormant viruses throughout the Empire's networks. Now those hidden programs were awakening, spreading like wildfire through their supposedly secure systems. Status report, Admiral Reed demanded, standing behind Walker's station. Phase 1 is working perfectly, sir, Walker replied, his fingers dancing across his keyboard. Their systems are trying to fight back, but they don't even recognize our hybrid code as a threat. They keep trying to use standard Imperial security protocols, which is exactly what we planned for. Across the planet, Imperial facilities began experiencing mysterious problems. Security doors wouldn't close properly. Communication systems produced strange echoes. Weapons systems reported phantom targets. Nothing catastrophic, just enough to create confusion and uncertainty. In their hidden mountain base, Dr. Stone monitored the Empire's response. They're doing exactly what we predicted, she reported to the Resistance leadership. They're trying to isolate the affected systems, but that's just helping our viruses spread faster through their network. The real action was happening on the ground. As Imperial forces struggled with their malfunctioning equipment, Resistance cells emerged from hiding. Workers in Imperial factories suddenly revealed themselves as trained soldiers. Maintenance crews turned out to be demolition experts. The Empire's carefully controlled world erupted into chaos. General Steele coordinated the ground attacks from a mobile command center. Team Alpha, move in on the primary target, he ordered. Beta Team, create your diversion now. Across the city, a series of explosions rocked several empty buildings. As Imperial forces rushed to respond, Resistance fighters slipped into their main base through the gaps in their security. The Empire's response was predictable. They tried to call for reinforcements, but thanks to Walker's cyber warfare team, their distress calls went nowhere. Their communications were trapped in endless loops, delayed by microseconds, or simply lost in the noise of their compromised networks. Sir, one of Walker's operators called out, we're picking up transmissions from off-planet. Other conquered worlds are seeing similar uprisings. The Empire is trying to coordinate a response, but they can't trust their own communication systems. Admiral Reed allowed himself a small smile. Years of preparation were finally paying off. The Resistance had made contact with rebel groups on other conquered worlds, sharing their techniques for fighting the Empire. Now, all those hidden forces were rising up together. In orbit, Imperial ships suddenly found themselves cut off from their command structure. Their crews had never trained for this kind of situation. They relied completely on their central command network. Without it, they were forced to act independently, something their rigid military structure had never prepared them for. On the ground, the battle for Earth's cities was fully underway. Imperial troops found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't understand. Resistance fighters used hybrid weapons that bypassed their shields. Their armor was useless against weapons that combined Earth's raw power with Imperial technology. Worst of all, they could never be sure who was a loyal subject and who was a rebel. Primary target secured, came the report from Team Alpha. They had captured an Imperial command center intact, thanks to Dr. Stone's technology that let them walk right through the Empire's security systems. Inside, they found something unexpected. Proof that the Empire had been lying to everyone, even their own people. These files, Dr. Stone said as she examined the captured data, they show the Empire's true plans. They're not building a civilization. They're systematically stripping resources from every world they conquer. Earth was just their latest target. The Resistance wasted no time spreading this information through the Empire's own networks. Thanks to Walker's team, every Imperial screen suddenly displayed the truth about their leader's corruption. The effect was immediate. Several Imperial ships in orbit suddenly changed sides, their crews refusing to fight for an empire that had lied to them. By sunset, the Resistance controlled most major cities on Earth. Imperial forces had retreated to their primary bases, but they were cut off and confused. Their mighty technology, which had made them invincible for so long, was now working against them. "We've received messages from 12 other worlds," Walker reported. "They're following our example. The Empire is losing control everywhere they try to respond. They've never faced a coordinated rebellion on this scale." Admiral Reed stood before the Resistance Council, reviewing the day's victories. "This is just the beginning," he warned. "The Empire won't accept defeat easily. They'll try to isolate Earth, to make an example of us. We need to be ready for their counterattack." But the Resistance was ready. Dr. Stone's labs were producing more hybrid weapons every day. Walker's cyber warfare teams had complete control of the Empire's communication networks. Most importantly, humanity had shown other conquered species that the Empire wasn't invincible. As night fell, the Resistance consolidated their gains. Imperial propaganda networks had been replaced with the truth about the Empire's corruption. Captured Imperial soldiers learned that everything they had fought for was based on lies. Many chose to join the rebellion, bringing their knowledge of Imperial tactics with them. The Empire's council would soon learn of their failures on Earth, but by then it would be too late. The spark of rebellion had been lit, and it was spreading faster than they could contain it. Humanity had not just survived their conquest, they had found a way to turn it against them. Operation Wildfire was just the beginning. The real war for freedom was about to begin, and humanity was ready to lead the charge. The news of Earth's successful rebellion spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. In the Grand Council chamber of the Empire's capital world, the mood was dark. Reports kept coming in of more planets joining the Resistance. The Empire's perfect system was falling apart. Hidden beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Reed met with representatives from 12 other conquered worlds. Some attended in person, having escaped their planets during the chaos. Others appeared as holograms, their signals carefully hidden in the Empire's compromised networks. "Earth's resistance has proven that the Empire can be fought," said the delegate from Centauri Prime, his holographic form flickering slightly. "But we need to coordinate our efforts. The Empire still has vast resources." Dr. Stone stepped forward, displaying her latest technological breakthrough. "We've improved our hybrid weapons systems. By combining Earth's experimental quantum technology with captured Imperial tech, we've created something they can't detect or stop." The alien representatives studied the designs with interest. Each of their worlds had developed their own ways of fighting back, but Earth's approach was different. Humans hadn't just copied Imperial technology. They had changed it, improved it, made it their own. "We can share this technology with all of you," Admiral Reed offered. "But we need to act fast. The Empire won't stay confused forever." In his cyber command center, Major Walker monitored the Empire's communications. "They're trying to isolate the rebel worlds," he reported, "cutting off hyperspace routes, disrupting communication channels. But they're making mistakes. They've never had to fight a war on so many fronts." The Resistance didn't waste time. Earth's hidden factories worked around the clock, producing hybrid weapons and ships. These were smuggled to other rebel worlds using secret routes that the Empire didn't know existed. Each world added their own innovations to the technology, creating an ever-evolving arsenal that the Empire couldn't predict or counter. The first major victory came when Resistance forces captured an Imperial prison world. Millions of political prisoners from dozens of worlds were freed. Among them were scientists, leaders, and fighters who had opposed the Empire. They joined the growing rebellion, bringing with them decades of knowledge about Imperial weaknesses. The Empire made a crucial mistake, General Steele explained during a strategy meeting. They thought keeping all their enemies in one place was efficient. Instead, they gave us an army of people who hate them, all in one convenient location. But the Empire wasn't finished. Their response came swiftly and brutally. A massive fleet appeared near Earth, larger than the one that had first conquered the planet. Their message was simple: surrender or be destroyed. Admiral Reed gathered the resistance leadership. "This is it," he said. "The moment we've been preparing for. The Empire thinks they can crush us with brute force. Let's show them why that's a mistake." As the Imperial fleet moved into position, everything seemed to go according to their plan. Earth's defensive systems appeared to fail. Their sensors showed the planet's shields collapsing. Victory seemed certain. Then Walker's team activated their masterstroke. Every virus, every piece of corrupted code they had planted in Imperial systems over the years, activated at once. The mighty Imperial fleet suddenly found itself blind and deaf, their ship's systems turning against them. "Now," Reed ordered. From hidden bases around the planet, Earth's hybrid fleet launched. These ships, combining Imperial technology with human innovation, slipped past the Empire's defenses like they didn't exist. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Imperial ships fired at targets their sensors couldn't properly track. Their shields failed against weapons they couldn't detect. Most devastating of all, their crews received conflicting orders, their command structure thrown into chaos by Walker's cyber warfare. On other rebel worlds, similar battles were taking place. The Empire found itself fighting a war on multiple fronts against enemies that didn't follow any rules they understood. Their perfectly organized military machine began to break down. The resistance forces pushed their advantage. Dr. Stone's hybrid technology let them capture Imperial ships intact, turning the Empire's own weapons against them. These captured vessels were quickly modified with Earth's improvements and added to the rebel fleet. Their biggest weakness is their pride, Dr. Stone observed as she studied captured Imperial data. They're so convinced of their superiority that they never considered someone might improve their technology. They haven't truly innovated in centuries. The battle for Earth became a turning point. The Empire's massive fleet, expected to crush the rebellion in hours, instead found itself trapped and outmaneuvered. Ship after ship either surrendered or was captured. Those that tried to retreat found their navigation systems compromised, sending them into the waiting arms of rebel forces. As news of the Empire's defeat spread, more worlds rose up in rebellion. The carefully maintained order that had kept the Empire in power for thousands of years was crumbling. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. "They'll try something desperate now," Admiral Reed warned the Alliance leadership. "The Empire's council won't accept defeat. We need to be ready for anything." The rebels worked quickly to consolidate their gains. Captured Imperial officers revealed more secrets about the Empire's true nature. Walker's cyber teams found and exposed countless records of Imperial atrocities. The truth spread faster than the Empire could contain it. Earth had become more than just another rebel world. It had become a symbol of hope. The planet that had not only survived Imperial occupation, but had found a way to turn the Empire's strength against itself. The resistance that had grown from a hidden movement to the leader of a galactic revolution. The Empire's council was now faced with a nightmare scenario. Their perfect system was falling apart. Their unbeatable technology was being used against them. And at the center of it all was Earth, the planet they had thought would be just another easy conquest. They had no way of knowing that their worst nightmare was yet to come. The Empire's council met in their grand chamber on the capital world. The massive room, once a symbol of their absolute power, now felt like a trap. Emergency alerts flashed on every screen. Reports of rebellion came from hundreds of worlds. Their perfect empire was falling apart. "We must crush Earth completely," the High Commander said, his voice shaking with rage. "Make an example of them. Show the galaxy what happens to those who dare resist us." The Empire gathered its remaining loyal forces for one massive assault. They stripped defenses from their core worlds, called in every reserve unit, and assembled the largest fleet in their history. Their plan was simple. They would isolate Earth by destroying the hyperspace routes leading to the planet, then crush the rebellion at its source. Major Walker detected their movements first. His cyber warfare teams had spread through the Imperial network like a virus, seeing everything, monitoring every communication. "They're coming," he reported to Admiral Reed. "Everything they have left. They're burning their own empire to gather enough forces to destroy us." But Earth was ready. The resistance had grown far beyond its humble beginnings. Their underground bases had become massive production facilities, churning out hybrid weapons and ships. Dr. Stone's laboratories had continued to innovate, creating defenses the Empire couldn't imagine. "Let them come," General Steele said during the War Council. "Every ship they send here is one less ship defending their core worlds, and we have a few surprises waiting for them." The Empire's attack began with an attempt to cut off Earth's hyperspace routes. Massive ships appeared at key points in space, ready to create artificial barriers that would isolate the planet. But they found something unexpected. The routes were already changing. Dr. Stone's latest breakthrough had found a way to manipulate hyperspace itself. The Empire's carefully mapped routes suddenly shifted, trapping their ships in places they never meant to be. Their perfect formation broke apart as ships found themselves scattered across different sectors of space. "They still think in straight lines," Dr. Stone explained to the Resistance leadership. "They believe everything must follow their rules, their patterns. They can't handle it when we change the rules of the game itself." The Empire's main fleet arrived to find Earth's defenses seemingly in chaos. Ships moved in random patterns. Energy readings made no sense. Everything their sensors told them went against their centuries of military doctrine. "Now," Admiral Reed commanded. The trap was sprung. From hidden positions around the solar system, the Resistance fleet attacked. But these weren't just Earth ships. Vessels from every rebel world had gathered for this battle, each bringing their own unique innovations to the fight. Walker's cyber warfare reached new heights. His teams didn't just disrupt Imperial communications, they took control of them. Enemy ships received false orders. Squadron leaders saw phantom targets. The Empire's strict chain of command became a weakness as confused officers waited for orders that never came. The Empire's response was predictable. They tried to overwhelm Earth's defenses with sheer numbers. Thousands of ships pressed forward, believing that their superior firepower would win the day. They didn't realize they were falling into another trap. Dr. Stone's latest weapons activated. Hybrid energy fields spread between Resistance ships, creating a web of power that Imperial weapons couldn't penetrate. When the Empire's ships fired their main weapons, the energy was caught in this web, redirected, and turned against them. "Their own power is their weakness," Dr. Stone said as she monitored the battle. "They never considered that their weapons could be used against them. They never thought they needed to." The battle raged across the solar system. Imperial ships found their advanced technology failing in new and devastating ways. Their shields couldn't stop weapons they couldn't detect. Their sensors showed them lies. Their proud fleet, the largest ever assembled, was being torn apart by forces they couldn't understand. But the Empire's council wasn't finished. In their desperation, they revealed their last secret, planet-killer weapons hidden away for centuries. Massive ships designed to destroy entire worlds. They had never used them before, fearing the political consequences. Now, they no longer cared about consequences. Multiple contacts, Walker's team reported. Massive energy readings. They're charging weapons that could crack Earth's crust. The Resistance faced its greatest test. These planet-killer ships were unlike anything they had faced before. But humanity had learned well from years of fighting the Empire. They had learned that the biggest weapons weren't always the best weapons. Small, fast ships slipped past the planet killer's defenses. Teams of engineers, trained by Dr. Stone, found ways into the massive vessels through maintenance ports and emergency systems. While the Empire focused on charging their superweapons, Resistance forces were already inside their ships. The planet killers never fired. Their crews found themselves fighting enemies inside their own ships, while their systems shut down one by one. The Empire's ultimate weapons, like everything else they had built, proved vulnerable to human ingenuity and determination. "Their entire system is based on control," Admiral Reed observed as he watched the battle unfold. "Control of their people, their technology, their worlds. They don't know how to handle enemies who embrace chaos, who adapt and change. As the battle turned against them, Imperial ships began to surrender. Crews who had served the Empire loyally for years saw their invincible fleet being taken apart. The truth about their leaders' corruption, spread through their own networks, made them question everything they had believed. The Resistance victory was total. The Empire had committed everything to this battle, stripped their defenses to gather this fleet. Now those ships were either destroyed, captured, or switching sides. Their perfect system had failed them completely. But even as they celebrated their victory, the Resistance leadership knew their work wasn't finished. The Empire's council was still out there, on their capital world, probably planning something even more desperate. The final battle was yet to come. Earth had proven itself again. The planet the Empire thought they could easily conquer had become the force that would destroy them. Now it was time to take the fight to their home. The Empire's capital world hung like a jewel in space, its surface covered with gleaming cities and massive orbital rings. For thousands of years, it had been the center of power in the galaxy. Now it was the last stronghold of a dying empire. The combined rebel fleet gathered at the edge of the system. Ships from Earth led the formation, followed by vessels from every world that had broken free from Imperial control. Each had its own story of resistance, its own reason to fight, but they all looked to Earth for leadership. Admiral Reed stood on the bridge of his flagship, now a hybrid of Earth and Imperial technology. "All ships report ready," his communications officer announced. "The Imperial Home Fleet is moving to intercept." In his command center, Major Walker's teams were already at work. "Their orbital defense network is massive," he reported. "But it's all connected to the same system. The same weakness we've exploited before." They never learned. The Empire's council had retreated to their deepest bunkers beneath the capital city. They still believed their defenses were impenetrable, their positions secure. They didn't know that Dr. Stone had discovered something in their captured files, blueprints of their entire fortress, including secret entrances they thought no one knew about. "This is it," Admiral Reed addressed the fleet. "Everything we fought for comes down to this moment. The Empire thought they could conquer Earth and break humanity. Instead, we're going to free the galaxy from their control. All ships, commence attack." The battle began with a display of Imperial power. Massive defense platforms fired energy weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Waves of automated fighters filled space. The Empire's remaining loyalist ships formed an impenetrable wall around their capital. But the Resistance had learned from every battle. Small, fast ships slipped through gaps in their formation. Walker's cyber warfare teams turned their automated defenses against them. Dr. Stone's hybrid technology let them bypass shields that had protected the capital for centuries. "They're still fighting the old way," General Steele observed from his ground assault ship. "Still thinking like an empire. They don't understand that the galaxy has changed. We've changed it." The Empire's perfect defense began to crack. Their orbital rings, symbols of their power, became their weakness as Resistance forces used them for cover. Their automated systems, meant to protect them, turned into weapons against their own ships. Deep in his cyber warfare center, Walker found what they had been looking for. "Got it," he announced. "Access to their central database, everything they've tried to hide, every secret they've kept. Sending it now." The truth about the Empire spread across every screen on the capital world. Records of worlds stripped bare of resources, plans for more conquests, the corruption that had rotted their civilization from within. The Empire's own people began to turn against them. Dr. Stone's teams moved next, using secret passages to infiltrate the capital's main power systems. "Their whole city runs on the same network," she explained. "Just like their ships, just like everything they built. One system, one weakness." The Empire's council finally realized their danger, but it was too late. Their perfect system, the source of their power for so long, had become a trap. They couldn't separate their damaged systems from their working ones. They couldn't isolate the Resistance's influence. Everything was connected. Everything was compromised. Admiral Reed watched as the capital's defenses fell one by one. "Send in the ground teams," he ordered. "It's time to end this." The resistance forces landed in the heart of the capital city. They expected fanatical resistance, but found something different. The Empire's own citizens, their own soldiers, were laying down their weapons. The truth had broken their loyalty more effectively than any weapon. General Steele led the final assault on the Council's bunker. They found the Empire's leaders trying to escape through their secret tunnels, only to run into resistance forces who knew every route. The capture was almost anticlimactic. The mighty rulers of the galaxy, taken without a shot being fired. In orbit, the last Imperial ships surrendered. The battle that everyone expected to be the hardest of the war had turned into a revolution. The Empire had fallen not just to military force, but to the truth about its own corruption. "We need to move quickly," Admiral Reed told the gathered resistance leaders. "There will be chaos as the Empire's control systems shut down. Millions of worlds will need help transitioning to freedom." The resistance was ready for this too. They had planned not just for war, but for peace. Teams of administrators and aid workers were already moving to help worlds trapped in the Empire's collapsing system. Earth led the way, sharing not just technology, but experience in building a free society. In the capital's Grand Council chamber, representatives from every freed world gathered to form a new government. Not an empire built on control and corruption, but an alliance of equals. Earth, the planet that had shown the galaxy how to fight back, was asked to help lead this new alliance. "We won't make the same mistakes the Empire did," Admiral Reed addressed the gathering. "Every world will keep its independence. Every species will have a voice. We'll build something better than an empire. We'll build a real civilization." Dr. Stone's hybrid technology became the foundation for a new age of innovation. The Empire's rigid systems were replaced with flexible, evolving technology that combined the best ideas from every world. Walker's cyber warfare teams turned their skills to protecting this new network, ensuring no one could ever again build the kind of control system the Empire had used. The Empire's council faced justice, but not revenge. They were tried fairly, their crimes exposed to the galaxy. Their punishment was to live in the free society they had tried to prevent, to watch as their perfect system was replaced by something stronger. Earth had changed the galaxy forever. The planet that the Empire thought would be just another conquest had instead become a symbol of resistance, of innovation, of freedom. Humanity had not just survived the Empire's attack. They had made the galaxy a better place. As the sun set on the Empire's capital world, now the center of the new alliance, Admiral Reed looked out at the city. The Imperial flags were gone, replaced by symbols of cooperation and freedom. The Empire had wanted to break humanity's spirit. Instead, humanity had broken the Empire and freed the galaxy.